Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Professor John Jurians. I'm the director of the Whitlam Institute. I have the great privilege to warmly welcome each of you here, then, to the 2023 What Matters Writing Competition Awards ceremony. With respect for Aboriginal cultural protocol and out of recognition that its campuses occupy their traditional lands, Western Sydney University acknowledges the Darug, the Tharawal, the Euroa, and the Wiradjuri peoples, and thank them for their support of its work in their lands. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome Nicholas and Judy Whitlam, who are in attendance on behalf of the Whitlam family. Welcome. It's my pleasure to welcome Professor the Honourable Bob Carr, Pro-Chancellor Dr. Linda O'Brien, the Honourable John Faulkner, who is the chair of the Whitlam Institute, and our own patron, Craig Rucastle. Welcome all. I'm also very pleased to be able to welcome and acknowledge our very many gracious sponsors, Allen and Unwin and their representatives Patrick Gallagher and Carolyn Walsh, the Museum of Australian Democracy, or MOAD, and Dr. Stephanie Smith, their learning manager, Reach Out Australia, which is represented here today by Doug White. Welcome, Doug. Southern Highlands Newsletter and the Honourable Rodney Cavalier, the Writing Workshop and its founder, Dr. Bernard Cohen, who was in attendance today and let me know a few moments ago that this is his 15th year participating in this competition. Thank you very much and welcome, Bernard. Varuna, the National Writers' House, and Vici Stewart, its executive director. Westward's and executive director Michael Campbell, who joins us today. And Writing New South Wales Chief Executive Officer Sophie Groom, who's also here today. Welcome, Sophie. Finally, it's my distinct pleasure to expressly welcome the students and their families and their teachers. The students here today are the finalists of nearly 5,000 submissions received this year from 691 participating schools across each state and territory. So congratulations just for achieving that milestone. So thank you, students, for your exceptional writing and for sharing a part of you with each of us. Now, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce Matilda Harry.
Yamadamarang Yuanadi Matilda Harry, Baladur Radri, Gibiamanyan, Yinya, Badu, Gillian Radri, Narambang. Good afternoon, everyone. I am so excited to be here today. As you know, my name's Matilda. I'm Wiradjuri, and I have ancestral and spiritual connections to Goanna country in central west New South Wales. And the language I spoke is Wiradjuri language, and I acknowledge that I'm still learning my language. And I speak it today and acknowledge country today with permission from my elders as a way to pay respects to my continuing cultural learnings and to those who continue to pass it on to us young ones. I'm lucky enough to know some of you, but for those of you who don't know me, I'm an Aboriginal educator, a daughter, a granddaughter, an auntie, sister, but I'm super lucky to be a student here at Western Sydney University. And yeah, it is truly a stunning day here on the ancestral homes of the Barramadigal people of the Darug Nation, and this is really special Noora to me. We say Noora, which means country in Darug language, as it was here that I was birthed and I continue to live, study and grow. So I pay my utmost respects to Darug peoples and lands and waterways, and Darug elders are really strong here and generous as they continue to share the dreaming of this country. So I was walking up and I was thinking, oh, how am I going to help all these fellas, connect to country and learn a little bit about this special place? Because it really is, it's the place where the salt and the fresh waters meet. So I thought, why not talk a little bit about the Parramatta River, which is also what we call the Barramata River, which just runs behind us. You might have seen it if you walked in today. So Darug elders and community note that Barramata means where the eels lay down, and since creation, the short-finned eels have lived and survived in the Barramata River. And since the dream time, adult eels have migrated from Barramata River with recent research documenting eels travelling as far as Papua New Guinea and New Caledonia, where the adults breed, lay their eggs, and then die. And when the babies hatch, they instinctively swim all the way back home to just outside, to the Parramatta River where their parents lived. And they stay there until they're ready to make the next journey themselves, in which they spawn the next generations. And to me, this dreaming story shows the resilience of country and our people, as despite all the changes that have been made, to the Parramatta River, the eels continue to live and grow and swim out to sea and spawn, and their offspring return home. And despite all the changes and damages done to country, Indigenous ways of knowing, being and doing are still practiced and shared in communities just like this one. So Darug people, like many Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities, have held strong connections to the land, and this continues today. So this is very special sovereign country, and it's a place where teaching and learning has been done for thousands of generations. And where better to hold an event of such esteem than on beautiful Darug Noora. So as I said, I'm super thrilled to be here this afternoon as we celebrate all that is the What Matters competition. And, I've been aware of this competition for some time now, and each year I become more and more impressed by how passionate and observant and articulate our young people are, and how deeply driven they are by the sense of social justice. So I'm so excited to hear about not just what concerns you, but also what inspires you all. So I just want to congratulate you all and all the entrants, and wish you all the best of luck with your future endeavours. So just to conclude, I'll share a Wiradjuri philosophy that my elders, my pop, has instilled in me, and we say, Yindiamara Yaramingari, which means I hope you all live with respect and generosity for generations to come. So Mendengulu, Yanaglumai Dijaram, may my ancestors walk with you all today. Thank you.
Students, families, teachers, members of the Whitlam Institute board and family, colleagues, distinguished guests, welcome. Welcome to the 2023 What Matters Awards, to Western Sydney University, and to this very, very special building, the Female Orphan School. The Whitlam Institute, housed in this building for over 20 years, works to advance the goal that Gough Whitlam himself set for the Institute, to help the great and continuing work of building a more equal, open, tolerant and independent Australia. It's from this spirit of equality and openness that the What Matters writing competition came to be. Each year we ask young people across Australia, what matters to you? In my time as an educator, I've had the privilege of watching young people explore their creativity, develop their critical thinking skills, and express their views on the world in new and incisive ways. I firmly believe in the power of creative opportunities to allow students to express themselves confidently. You, talented students, have done just that. Using 600 words, you've shared with us what gives meaning to your life, how you or indeed others can make things better. Chosen from thousands of entries, many of which were brave, deeply personal and diverse stories, today, together, we're thrilled to celebrate your efforts. It's my great pleasure to welcome our returning patron for 2023, Craig Rucastle. We're delighted to have him with us. Craig is passionate about exploring the complex ideas and seemingly intractable challenges of our time, asking questions that truly matter to our community and to our democracy. He's insightfully examined the intersections between consumption and the environment across several of his recent television series: The War on Waste, The Fight for the Planet, Our Climate Change, Big Weather and How We Survive It. We hope you all watched Big Deal, Is Our Democracy for Sale? a documentary directed by Craig in which he asks uncomfortably incisive questions about the influence of donations and lobbying on our political system. He's the founding member of The Chaser, a satirical comedy group that, in their own words, sought to strive for mediocrity in a world of excellence. Lampooning politicians, both foreign and domestic, along the way. Its considerable output challenged the status quo and influenced public opinion as they explored themes of social and political power and environment, war, and other contemporary issues, all with characteristic mix of humour and incendiary insight. We are most grateful to have him with us today. Welcome, Craig.
Thank you so much, Linda, and thank you, Matilda, for that beautiful acknowledgement of country. That was lovely. I think you talked me up a little bit too much there. I think only the mediocrity was the correct part, actually, in all of that, but nonetheless. It is lovely to be here. It's lovely to be asked to be a patron of this competition. It is just such a fantastic competition, and the reason I love to do it is because I get to read some of the entries. Now, I don't read all the entries. I want to make it clear. There were nearly 5,000 this year. There's over 2 million words. Extraordinary. But I've read a lot of them, and it's amazing. I absolutely love reading them. I don't love every part of reading them. The bit I don't like is I don't like seeing Year 5 and 6 kids being better than me at writing already. It's a little bit humbling, to be honest, but nonetheless. The writing is so beautiful. It's very accomplished, but also some really creative efforts this year as well. Creative, different ways of approaching things, from poetry to different styles. It's really quite amazing, the range that's in there. And I love the scope of stories that's covered as well by the students. Homelessness, disability, beautiful descriptions of connection to country, for instance, by Ruby Tarman from Engadine High School from Year 7-8 competition. By the way, this is no spoilers. I didn't just read the winners, so don't think you're winning if I read you. Ruby wrote, "There are those that look at country and do not see songlines, history, community and symbiosis, but see profit and opportunity. But I will fight to protect it alongside my people and allies." Extraordinarily powerful words there, it's amazing. There are also stories of family, of life and death, and of lovely cross-generational relationships as well. One of the things that stands out, there were quite a few stories about mental illness and beautifully expressed stories there. And I love seeing people express nuance about mental illness. It really is quite powerful. I think our generation did not do a good job of discussing mental illness, and I'm very glad that the next generation seems to be quite, well prepared to discuss that. And it was really quite amazing. So in the entries, there's also a mix of people looking inwards at themselves, looking outwards towards others, imagining other people's lives as well, and having concern for others. It really is quite an amazing scope here. I was interested by an entry by Jacqueline Soon-Legaspes from Haileybury College, The Behaviour of Light. It spoke to the tussle young people have nowadays between feeling like there's so much in the world they need to know about and fix and be part of, and also just feeling like, you've got your own little world you're in. So she wrote, "Some days I need to shrink my universe. When the constellations are distant and barely recognisable, when stars are dying, when the cold of spaces bites my nose and turns my fingertips purple, I downsize my world. The universe is the next piece of homework I need to finish. The universe is sitting with my friends on the train." But no matter what you chose to talk about, no matter what matters to you, you all did a beautiful job expressing it, and you used the written word to great effect. To that end, I actually want to read from one of the writings, which is Anna Slack, who actually wrote about the written word. As a matter of fact, the character in her thing, when you say "I," was actually the written word itself. And it's kind of about humanity's tussle with its power to do good or bad with the written word. So Anna wrote, "The age of the internet seemed at first to be my saviour. How could I be silenced now? I was everywhere and accessible by almost everyone in the world. However, suddenly I could be edited by anyone. Facts omitted, facts made up. False information is often more powerful than information. I am used to silence those with differing views. Respectful debate is no longer. Insults are delivered, different views are not tolerated. I am changed. I have become a weapon against tolerance. I should be ideas, I should be discussion, I should be polite disagreement, I should be debate, I should be free speech." Fantastic. And Anna, by the way, is from the Year 5-6 competition. So as I said earlier, I really hate how smart they are at that age. It's very frustrating. But look, just an amazing range. And all of you, it's been an absolute joy to read your entries and just keep it up. We need you guys to be expressing your opinions and we need to be listening to them. So thank you again for being part of the competition. Cheers.
Well, thank you so much, Linda and Craig. Now, to the first group of awards. We are privileged now to have Dr. Bernard Cohen from the Writing Workshop here with us today to award the prizes for the years 5-6 and years 7-8 categories. The Writing Workshop has been educating and inspiring young people since May 2006. They have worked and written with over 100,000 students, from 5-year-olds to school leavers, and read over 1 million pieces of imaginative writing. The Writing Workshop has kindly donated a full day of writing workshop to the years 5-6 and 7-8 category winners and runners-up. And Bernard also mentioned this is 15th or 16th year? 15th year of participating in support. In support of this competition. Bernard, you're most welcome.
Thanks very much, John. And as always, it's a huge pleasure to be here and to have read these wonderful, wonderful pieces. Our goal is to build confidence, develop creativity, improve literacy, increase braininess, and to have fun with writing. And we aim to share our own passion for writing with young people. I do want to make a couple of really brief comments, which is going to mean that I go over time by 30 seconds, and I apologise for that. Learning matters to me, and a lot of what I have learnt this year comes from a Dharawal elder, Auntie Lola Ryan, an artist who I've been working with as she writes a memoir of her childhood. The pivot point in her childhood was the 1967 referendum, where Australians voted yes, and after the 1967 referendum, she and her family no longer needed a pass to leave the reserve in La Perouse. So I just wanted to mention that. We look forward to working with the Year 5, 6 and 7-8 winners and runners-up, recipients of our awards. Firstly, I'm delighted to award the runner-up in the Year 5-6 category to Andrea Jin, who wrote Jade Memories, which is gorgeous, gorgeous insights into the flow of events in the world through her grandfather's Taiji-tinged philosophy. Congratulations to you.
Well done, Andrea.
And the winner in the Year 5-6 category, with, as Craig quoted from in detail, a unique vision of how the written word matters and works in the world and the importance of its protection, is Anna Slack. I seem to be quoting from all the same people that Craig did. Luckily, a different part of the runner-up in the Year 7-8 categories piece. Ruby Tarman, Congratulations to Ruby for Country. It's such a beautiful piece, including this description of deep connection. I stand grounded on country, listening and seeing. The pattern of the rows of trees is lyrical and invites movement and discovery. As I walk among them and notice their unique patterns, shapes, sizes, colours and textures, connecting me to this moment, this place, this country. Their leaves sway in the light breeze, the rustling making music of this place that I love, putting me at ease. Ruby. And the winner in the Year 7-8 category is Naomi Verma of Abbottsley with On the Couch, which tackles the huge problem of homelessness. And as Naomi insightfully points out in the piece, homelessness is not houselessness. She looks in great depth at those facets and the multi-layered nature of homelessness. Congratulations, Naomi. Congratulations to all participants in this competition that brings writing in from all parts of the country, and keep writing. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Bernard, and well done, Andrea, Anna, Ruby, and Naomi. It's now my pleasure to call upon Doug White, content producer with Reach Out, to present the Year 9-10 runner-up and a category winner. Now, for more than 20 years, Reach Out has been helping young people access support as they experience mental health challenges. Since their launch in 1998, Reach Out has been connecting and supporting young people and their parent, care, teacher networks to a range of mental health services that are available when and where they need it. The Year 9-10 category winner will be invited to undertake a tailored program with reachout.com, meeting the team and receiving professional training. They will also be offered the opportunity to be paid $200 to produce a feature article for reachout.com website. Doug. Thank you.
Thanks, John. First of all, it's a huge privilege to be here to announce both the runner-up and the winner for the Years 9-10 category. At Reach Out, we're consistently blown away by the passion, the creativity, and the diversity of perspectives that we see in these pieces, and this year is no exception. And as John mentioned, one of the exciting things for us is that we get to invite the category's winner into our office to get a taste of what it's like to work in the mental health space, as well as the opportunity to work with them on a piece of content that gets featured on our website. So, without further ado, I am thrilled to announce that the runner-up in this category with her entry, The Art of Observation, which is a really moving story and also a reminder about the importance of noticing others, is Stella Maroulis from the Armidale School. And the winning entry for the Years 9-10 category is a piece called The Path of Our Minds, which is kind of about those meandering avenues that our thoughts can easily take us in our search for meaning. It's hopeful, it's funny, it's existential, and it's stylistically very ambitious. So a big congratulations to Ayana Arani from the Mac Robinson's Girls High School.
Thank you so much, Doug, and again, congratulations to both Stella and Diana. It's now my pleasure to invite Sophie Groom, of Writing New South Wales to the lectern to present the Year 11-12 category winner and runner-up. Writing New South Wales is the state's leading provider of services to writers, including courses, seminars, and workshops, writing groups, festivals, and events, grants and prizes, and information and advice since 1991. The Year 11-12 category winner will receive a one-year membership to Writing New South Wales and the opportunity to participate in a one-day writing workshop donated by Writing New South Wales. It's my honor now to introduce Sophie.
Thank you, John. It's such a pleasure to be here today on behalf of Writing New South Wales. As John said, we've been working since 1991. We were initially called the New South Wales Writers Centre. And we've been working basically on behalf of authors. So everything that we can do for authors, we do, including putting on lots of festivals, events, lots of courses, a really big program that used to just be run from our little building in Callan Park and now spreads right across the state. And one of the things that we're most excited about is working with the authors of the future. So the big authors can kind of look after themselves. Matt Riley and Peter Carey, they're on their own. But you guys, we're here for you. And so I'm so excited that Writing New South Wales has gotten to be associated with this prize again. And even more excited when I read the entries and they were of such magnificent calibre. I get to do a lot of reading in my job, and I was so touched and impressed by the entries that I read. So congratulations to everyone. So for the Year 11 and 12 prize, I'd like to announce that the category runner-up is Brielle Mann of Pymble Ladies College with her entry. I haven't finished talking about you, Brielle. I have. No, stay here, please. I'll get the timing better next time, I promise. With her really touching and deeply personal and I thought exquisitely beautiful essay, The Thesaurus of My Disability. Congratulations, Brielle. And the winner, I'm going to make my comments sooner than I announce the name this time, just to be sure. The winner with her exquisitely beautiful and emotionally mature essay that, I hope to one day reach this level of emotional maturity and clarity is Jacqueline Soon-Gillespie of Haileybury College with her entry, The Behaviour of Light.
Thank you so much, Sophie, and congratulations, Jacqueline and Brielle. It's now my pleasure to announce the Tasmanian State overall winner. I had the privilege of attending the state awards in Tasmania a few weeks ago, and found the whole event to be deeply moving and extraordinary. As a consequence of winning the What Matters State Awards competition, this person is also in the running for the overall national competition winner. So I would like to call Caleb Close to the front and to receive his recognition. Caleb. Now, Tasmania, like most states and territories, significantly increased the number of competition entries. Tasmania, though, was up 43% from last year. So I'm deeply grateful to the Tasmanian Department of Education, Children and Young People, which so generously support What Matters. I thank Caleb again for his generosity of spirit, so evident in his work, and for his family and his teachers for nurturing such a wonderful talent. Caleb, once again, congratulations. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our next prize giver, and that would be for the Westwards Prize. I invite Michael Campbell, the Executive Director of Westwards, to the lectern to tell us more about his organization and, of course, to announce the winning schools. Mike, thank you.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here. I do love a good competition, and I do like a good award ceremony even better. Westwards is Western Sydney's literature development organisation, but more than that, we facilitate, create and share the stories of Western Sydney, this wonderfully rich, diverse region, home to over 10% of Australia's population. One of the things that we like about doing this prize in particular is because we are rewarding the schools who galvanise and inspire every day students to write themselves onto the page, to be able to articulate themselves into the world and into their futures. So we think that rewarding our next generation, the caretakers of our next generation, is immensely rewarding, not only for us, but for our society in general. So after the schools get to know what prize they get, we have a conversation, and it can be an author talk, it can be a workshop, it can be many things, whatever the school needs. So there were 119 students who made it onto the shortlist across 88 schools. So we'll start for year 5 and 6. The award goes to Maryland Public School near Newcastle for Anushka Iyengar's story, A Better Me. I am going to say a few lines from it. The story I'm about to tell doesn't have fairies and doesn't have elves, no princesses trapped in windowless towers, no witches holding magical powers. It is a story of our inner foes, and this is how the story goes. The category years 9 and 10 goes to Wagga Wagga High School for Zara Roshan's work, Echoes of Battle. War, the destroyer of lives, bringer of sorrow and bitter cries, it tears apart families and nations, leaves behind a trail of devastation. Their courage and valour inspire, but the wounds of war never retire. And for the year 11-12 category, the award goes to Bonnie Rigg High School here in Sydney's West. Layla's Skluna, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, for her entry, The Garden. As the sky grew tired, darkness cloaked the world. The world's flaws and beauty alike blurred as the flowers found comfort in their own petals and let their heads fall. Outside, I sat on the sand and let the thorns puncture my skin. Fantastic for all 88 schools. Congratulate to those three, and I'm looking very forward to having the conversation.
Next up, we have the Allen and Unwin Prize. Patrick Gallagher, the founder and chairman of Allen and Unwin, and Carolyn Walsh, the manager of education and marketing, send their apologies. They couldn't be here today. Allen and Unwin have provided book packs for all the award recipients. Allen and Unwin are Australia's leading independent publisher, and they're the 2023 Publisher of the Year. They've been voted Publisher of the Year 15 times, including in the inaugural award in 1992 and 12 times since 2000. They're not my publisher, by the way, so I'm not in any way affected by this. It's probably why they keep winning. choose better people. Alan and Unwin have not only provided all the book packs, as I said, Alan and Unwin have also will award $1,000 cash to the student who best showcases their passion for storytelling in a tale guided by the theme of what matters. Entrants are judged on narrative skills, originality, and how well their story takes the reader on a clear and compelling journey. And the prize is open to students from Year 5 to 8. And the winner of the Alan and Unwin Prize this year is, congratulations to Abby Cameron from Lansdowne Crescent Primary School.
Well, thank you, Craig, and congratulations, Abby. It's now my pleasure to announce the winner of the Artistic Merit Award. This award has been provided by Varuna, the National Writers' House. Varuna's mission is to be a catalyst for artistic excellence, empowering the literary imagination at every stage of a writer's career. Through its community programs, Varuna seeks to foster a deeper appreciation of Australian literature and to share the transformative power of the written word. Now, the award recognizes a work that possesses a special imaginative quality, achieved through exceptional use of creative language and or an outstanding concept. Now, Varuna will work with the winner of this award to tailor a session that could involve a published author reviewing and providing feedback on their writing, seeking advice about how to start or continue your first novel, or exploring what is involved in developing a career in writing. The winning student will also receive a $100 book voucher. Now, Vici Stewart, Executive Director of Varuna, the National Writers' House, was unable to attend today, so I'll be able to announce the winner on her behalf. It's my pleasure then to acknowledge the winner of the Artistic Merit Award, Ayana Arani, from McRobertson Girls High School, with her entry, The Path of Our Minds. Congratulations again, Narani. It's now my pleasure to call upon the Honourable John Faulkner to introduce Professor the Honourable Bob Carr, who will be awarding the Graham Freudenberg Award. John.
Well, thanks very much, John. The Graham Freudenberg Prize or Award, and I'm using the official Gough Whitlam pronunciation of Freudenberg, because when I went many moons ago, I was talking to Gough about Graham. I used to call Graham Freudy and called him Graham Freudenberg. Oh, comrade, you've got that completely wrong. It's Freudenberg. And then he proceeded to tell me why I was wrong for about 45 minutes. But anyway, this is the Graham Freudenberg Prize is really a central element now of the What Matters writing competition. And after Graham's death, the Whitlam Institute wanted to honour his work and ensure that in decades to come, young Australians could be inspired by his extraordinary contribution to our nation. And the prize recognises an entry that presents outstanding commentary on Australian social and political issues and argues cogently for policy ideas and solutions. We fly the winner of the prize along with an accompanying parent to Canberra for a couple of all expenses paid days to experience firsthand the working life of political speechwriters and journalists in Parliament House. So it's a very unique prize, and it's generously supported by the Southern Highlands newsletter, and its editor, former State Cabinet Minister Rodney Cavalier. But we're very fortunate indeed that Bob Carr has been the judge of the Graham Freudenberg Prize since the inception of the prize. And not only was Bob our longest continuously serving Premier of New South Wales, then later, of course, our nation's Foreign Minister, he also admired and worked very closely indeed with Graham Freudenberg. And Bob, can I say to you that the Institute deeply appreciates your great support now for a number of years of the What Matters writing competition. There is simply no more appropriate person to speak to us and present the Graham Freudenberg Prize than Bob. Please welcome Bob Carr.
Graham Freudenberg was a short man. He sometimes wore a three-piece suit. It was dappled with dandruff, and he looked like he'd slept in it. He drank more beer than was good for him, and horror upon horror, he smoked cigarettes around the day, and when they banned smoking in Parliament House, he worked from home. But he was a lovely, gentle genius. And like you, I know this from your writing, like you, he loved words, loved marching them across the page. He was the speechwriter to this great Prime Minister of ours, Gough Whitlam. Prime Minister, from what date to what date you get a copy, autographed, of my Diary of a Foreign Minister if one of the students here gets it right. Worth taking a plunge. What years was Gough Whitlam Prime Minister? Yes.
1972 to 1975.
You're right, and I'll get that's very good. That is very good. It's a long time ago, and that shows that along with the love of words, you're motivated by a love of history. And you'll get the book when we exchange addresses after this. But he loved history and he loved words. For example, after he retired from Gough's staff, Gough Whitlam's staff, I was honoured that after he worked for Bob Hawke for a time and Neville Wran, a Premier of New South Wales, he worked for me as Leader of the Opposition. And I had to give a speech, I was Leader of the Opposition, give a speech in honour of the British Conservative Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher, who was coming to Sydney for our bicentennial 1988. I had one motivation, to give a better speech than the Premier, Nick Greiner. And I had one great asset. I had Graham Freudenberg in that crumpled three-piece suit helping me with the speech. And his love of history illuminated this speech. For example, his research told him that Margaret Thatcher had called for a revival of Victorian values. A revival of Victorian values. What's meant, and there's another book at stake here, what's meant by Victorian values? The values of Queen Victoria's time. What did Margaret Thatcher perhaps mean by that? Huh? Worth taking a stab at it? A revival of Victorian morality, the stern, puritanical approach to life. Margaret Thatcher said there should be more of that. So Freudenberg, in his brilliance, gave me a reference in speech. It went like this. Our honoured guest, Prime Minister Thatcher, called in a recent speech for the revival of Victorian values. And Freudenberg, only Freudenberg could have given me these next lines. He said, Sydney's the only city that's taken her literally, because last year we recovered and installed a statue of Queen Victoria and planted it in Queen Square, just off Macquarie Street. And Freudenberg's genius continued. He said, reminding us that one of the original wild men of Sydney, one of the journalists of the 1890s, had said in respect to this statue, "There she stands, one eye on the mint and the other on Albert, her consort." And it was a brilliant touch, because every time I go past that statue now, she has got one eye on the mint to look after the Queen's money in the colony of New South Wales, and the other eye is on the statue of Prince Albert, her consort, across the road. So only someone who's read widely can inject that beautiful little story into a speech. And with your writing, and I know you're going to continue your writing throughout your lives, I mean, writing as good as that which we honour today carries the promise that you're dedicated to this. You love words, and in one role or another, keeping a journal, keeping a diary, writing book reviews for blog sites, writing your own books, works of fiction, other works, distinguishing yourself in academic research. You're going to be writing. We can tell from what we're acknowledging today, you are natural writers, each and every one of you. But just think about what Freudenberg did. From his deep reading, he was able to illuminate a piece of his writing. He was able to dip deep into history. I'll give you another example. Gough Whitlam, after working as opposition leader for 6 years, finally got to the point where in the 1972 election, he had a serious chance of being elected Prime Minister. But what date was it going to be? In our political system, the government sets the election date. They got flexibility. And the word came through that the then Prime Minister, William McMahon, a Liberal, had settled on December the 2nd, 1972. Well, Freudenberg knew that that was the anniversary of a great battle in European history, the Battle of Austerlitz, when Napoleon, then seen as a very progressive figure, had led the French and decisively defeated the forces of the Austrian Empire and the Russian Empire in this battlefield site in Slovakia. Freudenberg gave Gough the idea of saying in his public statement, so the government has announced the government has announced that the election will be held on December the 2nd this year, 1972. And thinking of the Battle of Austerlitz, Gough Whitlam, opposition leader, was then able to add the anniversary of the date on which another ramshackle reactionary coalition was defeated by the forces of progress. Beautiful touch, beautiful touch. And you can see what, as writers yourself, you can see what was involved here. He'd read deeply. He recognised that anniversary date from his knowledge of history, and he was able to produce this far-fetched historical analogy, which had his own supporters sitting behind him in the Parliament cheering, and had Labor supporters outside the Parliament, like a young Bob Carl, young John Faulkner, Nick Whitlam, thinking he's the one for us. You know, he's elevated the occasion. He's elevated the occasion through his knowledge of history, through his deep reading. You take a speech or a piece of writing and you elevate it by your own reading. Piers Rickmans, an Australian essayist, said that through reading, we live other lives. And he said, when you're introduced to a book, a great book, a book that will live in your imagination, one of the great novels, for example, or a play by Shakespeare that sits up there with you all your life, then it's going to be as significant an event in your life as maybe a great journey, going up the Amazon, for example, or discovering Florence. Discovering that work of literature or history might be as big in your life in stretching your consciousness as a journey or a great experience. And it's interesting, through our reading we live other lives. I remember on the last the last day of school at Matraville High School, our English teacher, Doris Allen, is a very good teacher, and I owe her a lot, and I think of her every now and then when I encounter at work that she recommended or something she said about reading. She said, you must go on reading for the rest of your life. You must always do it. She said, even if it's just the book reviews in the Sydney Morning Herald, or even if it's the Reader's Digest, you must go on reading. A simple message. On the last class we had with our history teacher, John Davies, he said, I have one piece of advice for you. To your own self be true. To your own self be true. The fact that I can remember it after all these years says something about it. At the present time, I'm giving some mentoring to a 28-year-old who got here from Afghanistan. And he lives in Melbourne, and I was honoured to be able to help him get his sister out of Afghanistan when Afghanistan collapsed, 2 years ago. And we got an Australian visa for her with the help of the Immigration Minister and the Morrison government. And we followed all the battles at the airport in Kabul. When the bomb went off, she had to get a taxi back into town. We wondered whether we could ever get her out across the border. She got to the border, the land border, and we're getting text messages from her to her brother. And I said, how's it going, Biss? She said, oh, well, she's at the border now. She says, Taliban are everywhere. And then she got in the queue, and when she was about to get approval, they said to her, that's the wrong visa. This is a visa for a flight to Islamabad. You're trying to get across the land border. And I got into touch with people in the Australian Embassy in Islamabad, and she eventually came across. So there's a brother and sister in Melbourne making their lives in Australia. And I'm giving some coaching to Biss, who wants to become a public speaker. And he's joined Toastmasters in Melbourne. But I've given him this challenge once a week on the phone, generally on a Sunday at 5 p.m. when I'm out doing a walking, get my 10,000 steps up. I'm talking to him, and I've got him reading Hamlet. So scene by scene, he's going through Hamlet. And I've got to explain it to him, I'm learning what a funny play it is. It's quite ludicrous. We've got the closet scene where Hamlet... Do you know Hamlet? Have you read Hamlet? You've read Hamlet. Remember the closet scene where in a rage he storms in to see his mother, and she says, Hamlet, you've left your father mightily offended. And he says, well, mother, you've left my father mightily offended, having participated in his murder. So it's actually very funny. There's all this wordplay. I've encountered it hundreds of times, but going through it with Biss, who's reading it back to me, requiring me to explain some of the archaic language, is a new experience. You know, I'm talking to him on the phone with my earpods in while I'm walking around Maroubra, and he's in his flat in Melbourne. We got to this last scene of that, the last page of that scene. It's known as the closet scene in Hamlet, where Hamlet rages at his mother. There's a movement behind the arras, behind the tapestry, and Hamlet pulls out his rapier and stabs what he thinks is a rat moving behind the wall covering, and he kills old Polonius, who's there listening. And in the last scene, Hamlet's dragging the body, the last page, Hamlet's dragging the body of Polonius out. He says, I'll lug his guts into the neighbour room. I'll lug his guts into the neighbour room. And in an exchange worthy of Anthony Hopkins in that play, what's it called? The play, the movie, Silence of the Lambs. He says, good night, mother. Good night, as he's lugging the corpse out. And I just realised how I just wondered if you could have a conversation with Shakespeare. What a joy would that be? You could say, were you actually writing a comedy when you wrote things like this? Graham Freudenberg loved Shakespeare, and one of his prized possessions was a concordat, I think it's called, which enables you to trace every line in the whole 39 plays back to its origin. And we honour his memory, his rich memory, in this award. But he would be so thrilled, the late Graham Freudenberg, Nick and John loving him as I do, we know this to be true. He'd be so honoured that students of your age are so dedicated to the word, the written word, and have produced essays of the quality that we're acknowledging at this lovely gathering today. A lot of the older people here think that our culture is in really good hands when it has custodians like you. That would be Freudenberg's deeply held view too. Congratulations to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's now my pleasure to announce the winner of the Freudenberg Award, Louise Ovespien. Well, thank you very much. It's an absolute delight to be able to provide these awards and to have such people behind them to deliver them to you as well. It does show the extraordinary work that was done. I believe that Graham Freudenberg was first started in 1961 as the press secretary for Arthur Calwell, and had been maintaining his prominence as a Labour luminary ever since that time until he retired. Many people here, I'm sure, have attended Old Parliament House, and you go to the Prime Ministerial area where you visit the offices there. They have it set up as I believe Bob Hawke had left it. And when you walk through there, and I noted this and reminded me when you said this, you see ashtrays everywhere filled with cigarette butts. And you see these little cubicles where people like Graham Freudenberg must have applied their trade. And to think in those little cubicles, amongst all those ashes, they created such words was really quite extraordinary. I do recommend a visit to the Old Parliament House simply to see the ashtrays and remember Graham Freudenberg and his tremendous contributions. Now, we reached that point of the event where we get to recognize the overall competition winner. And it's my great pleasure to call upon Linda once again to make that announcement. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you very much, John, and thank you, Professor Carr. It was interesting to hear you talk about learning through teaching. And it's a jolly good way to learn things, is to teach and instruct. So I am sure you'll enjoy the rest of it as well. I know this is an award ceremony, but I must say thank you very much. I feel very much rewarded by being here today. It's been wonderful. Thank you, and thank you very much. It's altogether fitting that this institute champion the voice of young Australians through this competition. And it's so exciting to be here today to announce the overall winner of the 2023 What Matters competition. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Museum of Australian Democracy for their sponsorship of the prize. Unfortunately, Stephanie Smith, Learning Manager of MOAD, could not be here today and sends her apologies. The overall competition winner receives a very special package, which includes a bespoke digital excursion program. Additionally, the winner's school library receives a unique and curated selection of books focused on active citizenship, civics and democracy. And the student receives $1,500 in prize money and a personalised trophy. The overall winner of the Whitlam Institute 2023 What Matters Writing Competition is Jacqueline Sue Legaspi of Haileybury College for Entry Behaviour of Life.
Well, thank you so much, everyone. And Jacqueline, it was just extraordinary. Well done to you. All our prize winners, all our runners-up, you're all extraordinary, accomplished writers and thinkers, and so generous with your ideas and articulate in your expression of them. I congratulate all of the finalists and especially thank each of the sponsors, the markers, the teachers, the parents, and other honored guests for your pivotal support for this vital national civics initiative. Now, that's the end of the formal ceremony. I invite all to go and congregate again for light refreshments in the back room. And for now, thank you and good afternoon.